It was 1993, nearly a decade after the Nintendo Entertainment System arrived in America. In console years, the NES was already a senior citizen, long in the tooth and well past its prime, yet that grizzled old console still had some magic left. This is Kirby's Adventure, a triumphant swan song for a legendary platform. Released for the NES almost 8 years after its debut, not to mention almost 2 years after the launch of the Super NES, Kirby's Adventure would be notable if only for its technical merit. By this point in the console's life cycle, developers had become familiar enough with the NES to push the hardware to previously unseen levels. And that's exactly what HAL Laboratory did with Kirby's Adventure. The intricacies of the game's backgrounds are pretty staggering considering the system, and just as impressive is the detail of its sprites and animations. Of course, these visual touches may seem modest today, but this was pretty remarkable stuff in 1993, especially for an NES game. Throw in its vibrant colors and ample charm, and this beautiful game still holds up visually. It's easily one of the best looking games ever released for Nintendo's illustrious old platform. Incidentally, it's also one of the most enjoyable thanks to its unique gameplay mechanics. Kirby's Adventure is the home console debut of Kirby, an adorable pink puffball with 2 stout legs and 1 insatiable appetite. And that's where the game deviates from the traditional platform schematic. Kirby can literally inhale almost anything he encounters. He opens his evidently double-hinged jaw like a chubby round python, sucking his enemies to a horrific fate: death by digestion. But you know, Kirby isn't a glutton. He can spit enemies back out at other enemies should they taste bitter, and when he does gorge himself, he usually does it for a reason. See, Kirby can actually copy the abilities of certain enemies, and that's what makes Kirby's Adventure so much fun. From beam to spark and cutter to fire, there are more than 20 different abilities Kirby can absorb, and finding and experimenting with those powers is what defines Kirby's Adventure. It's got that perfect blend of traditional, polished platforming and addictive new mechanics, and that balance makes this beautiful game such a memorable classic. But it's almost impossible to draw a perfect circle, and if you look close enough, even the spherical Kirby has a few lumps, at least figuratively speaking. You traverse 42 levels scattered across 7 worlds in Kirby's Adventure, but it's a surprisingly brief journey. Shouldn't take any more than 3 or 4 hours to beat the entire game. Of course, there's a lot of variety packed into that time, and completionists will take longer, but Kirby's Adventure is still a short game. But provided your gaming appetite isn't spoiled by brevity, not to mention easiness, this game is an obvious recommendation. It's one of the prettiest titles ever released for the NES, hands down, not to mention one of the most enjoyable thanks to its distinct gameplay hook. And even today, this game is still very playable, and of course very fun. So don't let the cuteness deflate you in the Nintendo classic Kirby's Adventure.